Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. So today we are going to take a look at our Batman build. Basically I have 4 build that I'm going to show you. Actually my pants are on fire. I actually have a 5 build that I'll show you. These are my builds, so I take that with a grain of salt I guess. So let's get started. So the first one I'll take a look is this one here, which I call my roleplay build. And I kind of like the look. It's more or less the classic Batman look, but with black instead of blue for the cape, the cowl, and all that good stuff. I'm always torn. I kind of like to use the yellow oval Batman emblem, but with this look, I kind of like the Batman BVS emblem. Oh well. So this is pretty much what I would call my roleplay build that I play only for me, only when I feel like playing the Batman or role playing the Batman. So I'll have a backflip attack, zip tie attack, forward flip attack, the stealth ability, distract, and the Batarang multi-shot. And on the stealth ability, I have Thermite Mine, Isolation Gas, Anesthetic, Bunker Buster, the Battle Drone, and the Taser Pull. So I have at least a pull move if I need to. I will show you a trick with stealth in just a minute, but basically this is a loadout where if I need to, let's say, get away from my opponent, I'll use the backflip attack. Then I'll throw them a zipline attack. I probably should have let someone a sparring target. Oh, actually, I have one in the base here. Aha! So let us use our sparring target. So I'll use the backflip attack to get away. Then I would use my zip tie attack to pretty much hold it there. If I need to go back into the action, then I'll use the forward flip attack. This track is if I need to shield myself a bit and sometimes lose the aggro. And of course, there's the Batarangs that I love to use against usually a group of enemies. Doesn't always work like that, but as a rule of thumb, that's pretty much what happens. So for the weapon, I went quite simply with martial arts. For the acrobatics, I went with the rocket-assisted glide. Again, I used the forward flip attack, back flip attack, the zip tie attack. And there's the throwing knives that I could switch for the zip tie attack in certain situation. I'm not sure. And of course, the various resistance. And for the stats points, in this case, I went with the focus weapon expert. And I have points in the critical attack chances, critical attack damage, and whatever's left is in precision. Because I'm not really doing my attack or my damage with powers. Like I do use some powers, but as a rule of thumb, I would pretty much go martial arts on the enemy. And if I need to get away for some reasons, then I would do that. Then I would use my zip tie, or if I need to hold a whole bunch of enemies, I would throw my Batarang, and then I would continue with martial arts. Also, distract would protect me while I keep on doing my martial arts stuff. And there's also the stealth trick that I'll show you in just a minute. But for stealth to be really effective, you pretty much need improved stealth. Yeah, you can use it without that, but in the past, for a long time, I didn't use the stealth trick because I would always get damaged. Like as soon as you receive 1 point of damage, you get out of stealth. The way to prevent that is to use the improved stealth. So when you have improved stealth, for about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, you're pretty much protected against damage. So it does allow you to be able to use the abilities on your stealth loadout. For the rest, let's take a quick look. For the boots, I'm using the Tumbling Master. Obviously, the Tumbling Master allows you to be able to roll once and then to roll... Oh, it doesn't work here. Let's get out of stealth, I guess. So it allows you to roll once and then to roll to do your tumbling thinking again. So that is a Tumbling Master. So for the legs, I went with Restorative Fear Gas. It'll make more sense when I show you my second build. For the chest, I kind of like to use a Power Efficiency, although I probably should try to use something else. Here I'm using Accelerated Neuralizer. Again, it'll make more sense a bit later. For the neck piece, I'm using Escalating Replenishing Proc. That's for when I'm in Troll mode. And the Supercharged Battle Drone, pretty much the same thing, although it kind of works for all my build, but it's mostly for the controller build. And the Blast Adapter. There's a few other mods that could go into the weapons, but the Blast Adapter is by far the better option for a few reasons. So that's usually what I go with. And now you can see that I do have the Phantom Zone Kryptonite chunks, so the Phantom Zone trinket. I'm using the Dark Robins, but I'll show you. There's also the, if you don't have the Dark Robins, which I'm sure you don't, you can use the Cave Trinket. There's the Nightmare Bat. Although this is the tier 1, I'm gonna have to try to get the tier 3 for this character. And I have the Bat Signal Uplink device. So basically, let's try the trinket first. So the trinket turns me into a Kryptonian temporarily. So for a short while, I can give flying for my character if I want to. If somehow I need to fly up in some map, or I need to fly away, or if I need to fly for whatever reason, I have this ability that allows me to do so. Also, it does have a freeze breath. You can punch the ground. And of course, you do have heat vision. So once in a while, I might use this ability in combat, but as a rule of thumb, I use it mostly to be able to fly away if I need to. So the second one is the Nightmare Bat. Basically, you summon a bat that will fight by your side. I wish I had the Vampire Bat. We got a Vampire Bat as a gift. I think it was last year or the year before. And I gave my bat to my multiverse character. I kind of wish I had given it to my Batman character, but well, too bad, so sad. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. We have the Nightmare Bat, so it all worked out. And you can see the Nightmare Bat is pretty aggressive. And it does last for a bit. And it does look pretty cool. So I'm using the tier 1 pretty much for, well, I guess, roleplay purposes. If I wanted to really maximize, I would get the tier 3 one. And where can you get the Nightmare Bat? Let's take a look. I'm sure some of you guessed it already, from the broker. So already there's quite a few pets we can get. The Antimatter Turret, the Brainiac Turrets. The Brainiac Turrets goes from tier 1 to tier 3, but a lot of the pets are only tier 2. There's a Dark Construct Bat that is a tier 2, but you can see it's pretty expensive on the broker. There's the Gem Turret, there's the Fodder Box, sadly is only tier 1. Mother Box is only tier 1 as well. A lot of people farmed quite a lot to get those boxes, and now it turns out they're not as popular as they once were. And here we have the Nightmare Bat tier 1, so you can see you can get it for about 3 million. Oh, actually even less than that. So if you are a legendary player, you should be able to get it easily enough. The tier 2 one is a bit more expensive, but still 15 million, or even 14 million. You should be able to get that. The tier 3 one is a little more expensive, 200 million. Yeah, now it's starting to be a bit more expensive. So if you want to have the best of the bats, you're gonna have to spend a bit of money. It's sad, but that's how it is. Which is pretty much why my Batman character is a tier 1 bat. I did not want to spend 200 millions, at least not yet. Already I had to spend 5 or 600 million for the Dark Robins, so I did not really want to spend an extra 200 million for the Vampire Bats. So I decided to settle for the Vampire Bats rank 1, tier 1, since I do have my Dark Robins. But eventually I'll probably bite the bullet and buy the tier 3 Vampire Bats. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I love those little guys. I wish we could have the actual Robin. Like, imagine if we had a trinket with Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne. That would be glorious. Sadly, this is what we have, so within the context of DC Universe Online, we do what we can with what we have. So if you want to have a Batman and Robin type character, this is the option you have. And again, for the Dark Robins, your best option is to get them from the broker. So right now they're worth about 500 million. I saw them a bit cheaper some time ago, but they went back up in price for some reason. But obviously, if you do not want to spend 500 million for the Dark Robins, you could use the Cave Trinket. Sadly, in order to get the Cave Trinket, you have to purchase the Batcave Lair from the marketplace. So once you purchase the Batcave Lair, it will give you access to the Cave Lair Trinket. The Cave Lair Trinket is what I used for quite a while. So it summons 3 bat robots that will fight by your side, and you'll see it's the same robot as your. Oh, wrong place. I thought it was in my cave lair, but I just realized I'm in the Brainiac lair, so not the same robot. But if you have the cave lair, their little sparring target is the same as the robots over here. So yeah, as you can see, it gives you 3 nice little robots that will fight by your side. Obviously, I much prefer to have the 3 Robins, but if you want, again, if you don't want to spend 500 million, this is a good option to have. But again, you have to purchase the cave lair to be able to get those little guys. And they're gone. Oh, I'm so sad now. And also, I'm using the Bat Signal Orbital Strike. I have no choice. You can buy it easily enough from the broker, or you can buy it from the Thanagarian vendor. Last I checked, it wasn't that expensive. Let's go take a look. So you can see it for 3.5 million. That's nothing. So you should be able to buy it easily enough. But again, you don't even need to spend 3.5 million. You could buy it from the Thanagarian vendor. And I have to give my usual broker warning. Prices on the broker changes all the time. These are the prices on the broker right now. Tomorrow, next week, next month, heck later tonight, the prices could be different. So this was for our first build. Let's go to our second build, which is called the build 89. So obviously you can see it's my Batman from inspired by the 1989 Batman from the Batman movie. I love this look. And so you can see I'm using pretty much the same trinket. The difference will be in the loadout. The loadout and the skill points a bit. So if we take a look at the loadout, I have a Fear Gas, I have a Napalm Grenade, I have a Photon Blast. Again, I have the Stealth ability, the Neural Neutralizer, and the Stasis Field. So you see why I have mods about the Neural Neutralizer and about the Fear Gas. And for the Stealth loadout, it's the same. A Thermite Mine, Asphyxiation Gas, Anesthetic, Bunker Buster, Battle Drone, and Taser Pull. For the weapons, it's pretty much the same. Acrobatics, more or less. I only took the Zip Tie attack, and even then, I probably shouldn't take it. But I had to take one thing to be able to get the resistance, so I went with the Zip Tie as opposed to the other 2. For the iconic powers, I still have the Batarangs, but in this case, it's pretty much a waste of a skill point. And I kind of like to use a Super Strength. For the stats point, I went with Powered. So I have a Focus Super Powered. And then the Critical Attack Chances, Critical Attack Damage. And in this case, I went with Might and Power. So with this build, I would have more of a tendency to use my Super Powers. So, oh yeah, let's go take a look again at the loadout. So basically here, the Stasis Field will capture our enemies into a bubble, a force field. And then you go with the Napalm Grenade, which in case enemy are detonated, and of course it'll do a whole bunch of other stuff. It'll burn them and make them vulnerable to burning effects. Then you go with Fear Gas. If the enemies are burning, they'll take additional damage. There's a Photon Blast, which is pretty much your finisher. So when enemies have less than 35% damage, you do 35% health, you do extra damage. Again, stealth as always. And the Neutral Neuralizer is a pretty good shield. And Daze Enemy make them vulnerable to Daze M effect. And Daze Enemy takes additional damage. But here we have Stasis Field actually dazes enemies. So you can use it also in combo with Stasis Field. So basically this is built around a bit of the power interactions. So the interaction between the Stasis Field, the Napalm Grenade, and then the Fear Gas. And even the interaction between the Stasis Field and the Neural Neutralizer. And again, the Stealth ability allows me to get the Thermite Mine. It gives me access to all the supercharge. So if I need to do some extra damage, I'll use Asphyxiation Gas. If I need to heal myself, I'll use Anesthetic. Extra damage, again, Bunker Buster. Depending on the situation, I would go for the Buster or the Gas. If I need a pet for some reason to do some extra damage, I would go for that. And again, if I need a pull move, although the pull move doesn't seem to work really well from stealth mode, oh well. And I've put the Bunker Buster at the same place as the Stealth ability. So as soon as I click on the Stealth ability, then I can click on the Bunker Buster right away. I guess I'm going to have to build my Supercharge to be able to show you. So basically I would go with Stasis Field, then Napalm Grenade, then the fear gas, and then the neutralizer. And then once the enemy goes down, it's not a matter of just pressing 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to give a bit of thought to what you're doing. Basically, the finisher attack, normally you only use it when you can see your enemies about at 30-35% health, so that you can maximize the efficacy of the attack. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you cannot use it any other time, but as a rule of thumb, that's when you would actually use it. So the rest of the time, you go to a stasis field. Again, you break the encasement. You use the fear gas and the fire, and of course the finisher move. And for the stealth ability, I'm gonna have to build my supercharge. There's the thermite mine. I used it a couple of times against the evil Doomsday. Like people would fight Doomsday, and I would run around putting mines all over the place, and then Doomsday would step on those mines. It was a fun bit. Somehow the pull move did work this time. Very often I'll try to use the pull move from stealth, and that didn't really want to work, it seems. Oh, and also the stasis field is the supercharge generator, so that's another reason also to have it. So normally I try to build loadouts that is multi-useful, that abilities will work well together and have various purposes. So this here encases enemies. It's a pretty good crowd control in certain situations, and it does build up your supercharge, and it works well with napalm grenade, and again fear gas, neutralizer, and if you're lucky, the finishing move to finish off your opponent. Although for the encasement, I'm a bit careful in what group I use it, because there are certain groups, there are certain players who don't use abilities that break out encasement. So sometimes when you encase an enemy, your partners in your group just cannot do anything because the enemy is encased. So either you make sure to break the encasement right away so that other DPSs can do damage, or you just use it against bosses. Usually, when you use the encasement against bosses, it doesn't encase the boss, but it still does various effects. So depending on the group, I might use the encasement only against the bosses. Okay, so we've built up our supercharge. So again, normally I would go into stealth mode, and then from there I would right away cast Buster Bunker. Unless, if for some reason I need some healing or the battle drone or something else, then that is what I would use. But as a rule of thumb, I would just go for the Bunker Buster, so it gives me a quick access to the Bunker Buster. And I guess I should talk about my artifacts a little bit. This is one of my many alts, so I didn't really build up my artifacts there very much. I kind of like to use the Quizlet, the Grimorium Verum, just because I love the two pets it summons. But I should probably replace at least one of them with the Tetrahedron of Urgrum. That would pretty much increase the might of my character, so with extra might I would do a bit more damage. There's the Dead King Scepter, which kind of works well with the Orbital Strike and the various pets. So again, that's one of the reasons why I'm using two artifacts for pets. I'm using the Dark Robins, I'm using the Vampire Bat. So the Trident works well enough with this character. Although I didn't upgrade it just yet, so it should work well enough, I should say. And now let us switch to our troll build. My kingdom to be able to put the area around the mouth skin color. You would swear that the mask has been made in order to be able to do that, but that is not an option, sadly. So this is about as close to the classic version of Batman as I was able to get. And let's take a quick look at our loadout. I'm pretty much a classic troll, so this is a defibrillator. It's the group power heal. I'm using a napalm grenade, so this would reduce the target's ability to heal. Here I'm using holographic decoy. Basically I'm using holographic decoy, stealth, and distract. It may be a bit of overkill, but I've seen too many groups where I would get swarmed by enemies, because either the tank didn't pull them or even worse, the healer wouldn't heal. So I'm experimenting a bit with this loadout. So normally I wouldn't go with those three abilities, but lately it seems that my character needs extra survivability, so it's something I'm trying out. And the Bird Blitz. And what allows me to be able to get all those abilities is the Bird Blitz. If I did not have the Bird Blitz, here's the debuff, the healing debuff. I would need, let's say, the attack debuff and then the defense debuff. But thanks to the Bird Blitz, I have both the defense debuff and the attack debuff into one ability. And if I upgrade the Bird Blitz even more, I would also have the healing debuff. Although, there's one thing I don't like about the Bird Blitz, or I should say the artifact itself. Let's take a look at our artifacts. So here I'm using the Parasite Power Harness. Basically, you give extra power to the group. I'm using the Amulet of Ra. You can debuff additional enemies and your debuffs are stronger. And I'm using the Bird of Recomlink. It did seem to be a good idea at the time to be able to get all the debuffs within one ability. It would free up your loadout to be able to use other abilities. Sadly, I came to realize at some point that the Bird of Precomlink device often doesn't register as a debuff. Sometimes there's abilities that will get triggered if you do cast a debuff. It doesn't seem to work with the Bird of Precomlink. I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's a bug, but either way, it just doesn't work. So I was a bit disappointed. You may have noticed with my multiverse character, I was using the Bird of Precomlink, and sadly, I replaced it for something else because it just didn't seem to work properly. So I still have it on my Batman character, and I'll probably keep on using it so that I can use... so the holographic decoy may seem a bit overkill, in addition to the distract, but the decoy would attract enemies and free me from being swarmed by enemies, at least usually that seems to work well enough. And if I really need to, then I could go with distract, or with the stealth ability if I really need to. So for the weapon, again, I just went with martial arts. For acrobatics, I'm not sure why I have those abilities. I don't really need them. I just need one to be able to gain access to the resistance. So these are pretty much a waste of skill points. And I don't have a lot of skill points with this character, as you can see, so I probably shouldn't waste the skill points with that. The same with Batarang Multi-Shot. I guess I'm going to have to respect my character soon to build it up a bit properly. So here I'm using the Focus Superpowered. The main reason I love this Focus is because of the 25% power regeneration. So critical power chances, critical power magnitude, and vitalization. Again, I'm a classic troll, so I go with vitalization as opposed to going might and power like a lot of people. And for dominance, I see a lot of people put points in dominance. You don't really need to. Usually as a troll, your shield should be strong enough, even if you don't put points in dominance. And normally your gear alone should give you all the dominance you need. And now let us take a look at my last build. This is my Flying Armory. Now why do I have a Flying Armory? Why do I use the Kryptonian Trinket if I do have a Flying Armory? That is a good question. When you switch armories, you can see there's a pretty big cooldown, and that is the cooldown outside of battle. In battle, the cooldown is even longer than that. So if I want to switch to my Flying Armory in battle, it may not be an option, and if someone cannot switch to my Flying Armory in battle, then I can switch to my Kryptonian Trinket. And then if I need to fly, I have the option to do so. And of course, if I need something else like Heat Vision, Freeze Breath, or if I need to punch the ground really hard, the Trinket allows me to do so. Sadly, the Trinket is a rare item from the vault, although from what I understand, with the next update, the vault will disappear, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with those Trinket. We were teased that there would be something known as the Fate Vendor, so you might be able to get those Trinkets from the Fate Vendor, but I assume they will be very expensive. So at some point I decided to have a Flying Armory with this character. I should probably make a video about flying, the various ways you can give flying to your character. I'll have to give it some thoughts. But basically this is one of the few non-flying character that I have where I was able to get the Joker jetpack with that character. So for quite some time, I was able to get the flying armor with this character. But then more recently, we got an upgrade. We got the Legion flight ring. So I had to get that flight ring for my character. I had to. I had no choice. And the flight ring has a much higher combat rating, a much higher level than the jetpack. The jetpack is a level 1 item, as opposed to the ring, which is combat rating, which is item level 283. And also with this armory, I have my bootility belt, and I have my 4 boos. Why do I have this belt? I'll show you in just a second. Actually, I have more than one belt with this character, but sadly we cannot trade the belt, so I'm stuck with it. I don't dare delete it. I'm hoping against hope that someday we'll be able to trade it. We'll see. So basically, oh yeah, and the loadout. Let's take a look at the loadout. So here the loadout is pretty much. I had made a video eons ago about the gadget. Basically, I was using power interactions quite a lot. So I would burn the enemies. That would cast cryofoam, which burning enemies takes additional damage. Then I would cast a ghost grenade. Frostbitten enemies take additional damage. And then I would cast a paralyzing dart. Dazed, electrified, frostbitten, or burning enemies take additional damage. So pretty much everything was causing additional damage in this loadout. Of course, I had the stealth loadout to be able to gain access to again the various supercharges. And in this case, I went with EMP pulse as opposed to the mine. And of course, I'm using distractor for my shield. I guess I could have used the neural neutralizer, but I decided to stick with distract in this case. Because basically, this is an ability where this is a loadout where I would napalm grenade, then cryofoam, then gauss grenade, and then the paralyzing dart, and you start the cycle over again. It was simple enough, and this being also a flying character, so you can do that from up high if you need to. And also with the bootility belt. And normally what I would do with this character, so I would fly around, I would see a battle, so I would join the battle, cast the boos, and then I would switch to my other armory, cast the robins, and sadly I cannot cast the vampire bat at the same time, but that doesn't really matter. So I could have a whole bunch of pets all at once to do a whole bunch of damage to at least for a short while. Sadly, for some reason, they don't want to follow. Oh well. I'm not sure what's wrong with the Dark Robins today, but they're really not cooperating. It doesn't really matter. So this is pretty much my flying armory that allows me to more or less fly anywhere if I need to. And then when I switch to my other armories, if I need to fly, if I need to switch to flying on the fly, I have my kryptonite trinket. So for the weapons, again, everything is in martial arts. Acrobatics, just to be able to get the resistance. I probably shouldn't waste again skill points for those. Again, the batarangs, I don't really need that, but I kind of like to have super strength. Super strength is not very useful, but there's a few occasions where it is actually useful. And here I went with focus superpowered, seeing how I pretty much cast my abilities. And again, critical attack chances, critical attack damage, and might and power. If I had some extra skill points, I might put them in precision. Although I'm very tempted sometimes to put them to health. Nah, I guess for DPS, precision would be a better option. So these are pretty much my build. Although I guess my pants are on fire. Let's show you one more build. For a bit, I was using my Flashpoint Batman build. So in terms of loadout, it's not that much different from my DPS build. Fear Gas, Gauss Grenade, Photon Blast, Stealth, Neural Neutralizer, and Batarang Multi-Shot. And here I'm using the EMP Pulse as opposed to the Mines. And again, the Supercharge and the Pull Move. And for the weapon, I stuck with Martial Arts, but in this case, I did take the Martial Art Mastery so that I could get the Sweep Shot Mastery and the Loft Shot Mastery. So obviously, I had to take dual pistols so that I could get dual pistol mastery. So if we look at the combo, 1 tap 2 hold, 4 tap 2 hold. So let's give it a try. So tap, hold, and hold. Tap, 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 hold, and hold. I guess for a Flashpoint Batman, I could have used dual pistols, but I decided to stick with martial arts and instead use the dual pistols with the mastery. And I tweaked the look of the Flashpoint Batman a bit. Here you can see the full suit, the full Flashpoint Batman gear. But I had to tweak it a bit and make my own version. I kind of prefer the slimline version of Flashpoint Batman that we had in the comics. So that is more or less what I recreated, as opposed to the version which look a bit more armored and has a whole bunch of straps. I decided to go in a slightly different direction for that. And last but not least, I should probably mention the cola. I'm using the bottle city sorter. Here I've upgraded it to rank 7. The maximum rank is rank 8. I didn't get around to upgrading it up there just yet. And you can see at rank 8, it will heal 90% of max power, 90% of max health. And depending on your role, if you're a controller role, it will give 5% extra power of max power to the group. It will give, if you're damage, it will give extra might or precision. If you're a healer, it will give extra health. And if you're tank, it will absorb extra damage. You can get the bottle CD coder from the Kryptonian time capsule. You can get it from the Quarks vendor, or you can get it from the broker. Let's go take a look at the broker one more time. So here you can see the bottle CD sorter for 5 million on the broker. So it starts at pretty much giving you back 30% your max power and 30% your max health. But obviously as you upgrade it, it goes up to 90%. And the nice thing is that it never runs out. You'll have it forever. And it has the very same cooldown as any colas, so there you have it. It is my Batman build. Obviously, I could upgrade my artifacts a bit more, and I could probably tweak my artifacts a bit. And obviously, I could farm and farm for more skill points. Maybe I'll do that at some point. I'll have to give it some thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. I have roughly 2,000 videos about this universe online at this point, so if I don't answer a question right away, just search in my videos. Odds are I already made a video that answers your question. Or click one of the videos that you see on your screen right now. Bye-bye.